How's it going and welcome to The Guitar Effect. My name's Rob. In this episode we're going to be taking a look at the Fender Telecaster, what I believe is the only guitar that you actually need to play any sort of rock music, and has been the case since the early 1950s. Before we get into it, I'd like to ask you to like and subscribe and hit the notifications bell so you can be kept up to date with everything we're doing here at The Guitar Effect. So, what is a Fender Telecaster? Well, it just so happens this is a Fender Telecaster. So, this is actually a 1960s reissue Fender Telecaster, but fundamentally it is a standard Fender Telecaster. This is actually what's called a Baja Telecaster, which is made in Mexico. But what it effectively is a slab body. So what that means is the body has no contouring or comfort cuts of any kind. It's just a slab piece of wood. Which piece of wood it differs from Telecaster to Telecaster. It has a really simplistic workman-like body. And then it has, obviously, in this case, a maple neck and a rosewood fingerboard. And it has... it's got a headstock and it's got tuners because it needs them. Then it's got a lipstick pickup in the neck, which is basically a covered single coil pickup. It's got what's called a Telecaster pickup in the bridge, which is which is a really individual and unusual sounding pickup because it's mounted on a brass plate, and it kind of which affects the tone of this pickup, which is a very famous sound. And then in this instance, this old style bridge has 3 individual brass saddles, although in this instance I think they're steel, which only allow for intonation on every second group of 2 strings. Then it has one volume knob, one tone knob, and a 3-way selector switch that has a back pickup, a middle pickup, which is a combination of both, and a neck pickup. And this, in essence, is the most basic form and the longest running form of the Telecaster. It obviously is available in any number of colours, but this guitar is still available today. So this is the guitar I want to talk to you about today, and the reason that I think it is the only guitar you need to be able to play rock, or maybe some variant thereof, which I will get into further in the video. So there are 3 reasons why I think this is the case. The first one is the guitar's pedigree. The second is the range of models of Telecaster that are available just from Fender alone. And the third is that because it's been so successful down through the years, there is an infinite number of people who make Telecaster parts, including Fender. So really, realistically, the third reason is because these guitars make the ultimate Partscasters. And they're the 3 reasons I'd like to talk to you about the Fender Telecaster and why it is the ultimate rock guitar today. So we're going to start off with number 1, which is pedigree. So number 1, pedigree. What do I mean when I talk about pedigree? So I think a big part of the reason that anybody chooses to play one guitar and develop an affinity for the guitar is their guitar heroes play it, and that's what pedigree is. The amazing players over the last, 60 years, I think, who have chosen to play Telecasters. And 2 of those players in particular, 3 probably, influenced me
sort of started to influence me, and then just reaffirmed that interest for me over as being Telecaster being the right choice over a number of years. There's 6 players really that have been very heavily influential in my kind of establishing and then reaffirming my love of the Telecaster over the last probably 30 years, that I have at different times been heavily into, and they're the 6 I'm going to talk about. Before I do, I'm not a country fan. I never have been a country fan. I never will be a country fan. I am well aware of the Telecaster's pedigree in country music, and that it is the linchpin really of guitar playing in country music, but unfortunately it's just got no time for it. It does nothing for me. I respect all country artists and the success that they've achieved within their marketplace, but it's just not for me. So I'm not going to talk about country or country players. This video is about this guitar's capability within the arena of rock, and the various different subgenres therein. So with that in mind, the 6 players are, and they're broken up by 1 player per subgenre of rock, which I think are the pinnacle of Telecaster players in that genre. So number 1, classic rock, Mr. Bruce Springsteen. So Bruce Springsteen has played what I believe is, if not the first production run Esquire, certainly one of the very, very, very early serial numbers Esquires. He has played it on and off, certainly since I was 18, so for the last 20 years or so anyway, more, 25 years. And he has probably written a vast majority of his songs on that guitar, and his guitar tone sits in the mix of their band beautifully, both on records and live. So he's number 1, and he was a massive influence on me when I was around that age, for that, natural body with black scratch plate Telecaster thing. I just really wanted to get one when I saw him playing it. Number 2, and the most influential player for me, is Mr. Johnny Greenwood from Radiohead, and this is under the moniker of alternative rock. So the most, without a question, the most influential guitar player on me over the last 35 years has been Johnny Greenwood from Radiohead. He plays a 90s Telecaster Plus, I think it's called, which has a humbucker in the bridge, lace sensor humbucker in the bridge, and lace sensor single coil in the neck. And the things that man does with that guitar are just otherworldly. He is, in my opinion, the best living guitar player in the world, and the most influential probably for me as well. Certainly for me, and I think without Johnny Greenwood stylings on the Telecaster, we wouldn't have Muse, for example. So another unbelievable Telecaster player and big advocate of that guitar for me, and also the things he does with that guitar within the genre of alternative rock are just amazing. Number 3, in the genre of rap metal, and this is the only rap metal band that I would ever be into, I suppose, is Tom Morello from Rage Against the Machine. So, and Audioslave, actually, I will say as well. I'm a big Audioslave fan. What's really interesting about Tom Morello's sound is, whereas a lot of people that play Telecasters would live on the bridge pickup, Tom Morello actually gets nearly all of the sounds he uses on his Telecaster from his neck pickup. So he plays it constantly dirty with his Marshall JCM 800 head into his PV 412, and he uses the volume knob to clean up or dirty it up. And for me, the definitive Tom Morello moment out of his entire career with the Telecaster is the intro to Show Me How to Live by Audioslave. Amazing Telecaster neck pickup tone. Number 4 is from the genre of Britpop, and it is the one and only Graham Coxon. Again, a massively innovative and player, and hugely influential on me. He played a Telecaster with a Gibson humbucker in the neck that he got towards the beginning of the band's career, and again, interesting that it's a lot of his sound is on the neck pickup of a Telecaster, but a humbucker obviously, and a great, really great player, great writer, great riff writer, and a great Telecaster player. Number 5 is, of course, you couldn't get not talk about Telecaster without talking about Keith Richards. So in the genre of R&B, in the sense of rhythm and blues, which is what the Stones are, he has played 2 Telecasters. Predominantly he has that one, like Graham Coxon's, with the Gibson humbucker in the neck. But he also plays a 72 Telecaster Custom a bit. I've seen him with, so he is another massive Telecaster stalwart, and he plays all the guitars, but I think he's really best known for playing Telecaster. And the last and most, probably most consistently reappearing over the last 30 years in my record collection and me going back to listen to him is Mr. Rich Robinson from the Black Crowes, which really, without the Rolling Stones, we probably would have no Black Crowes. So the two of them are sort of in the same genre, though I consider Black Crowes more sort of southern blues. Again, phenomenal riff writer, and uses all the pickup settings, gets all types of different tones from his Telecaster with the humbucker in the neck again, and just an amazing player, an amazing writer. And I love people who can write great guitar riffs more so than people who can shred or people who can play really nice blues. It's all about songs and riffs for me, and all of these players have written amazing songs using the Telecaster, and they're all guitar heroes to me. They all play Telecasters. So that is why I think the Telecaster has incredible pedigree as a guitar to choose to base your sound on. So the second reason why I think the Telecaster is the best guitar of all time for playing rock music is variants, or in other words, the range of Telecasters that are available from Fender. And I also think what's amazing about this is all these models are available both from like either elite top level Fender American guitars or even custom shop, although one would have to expect you can get any guitar you want from the custom shop, but they're available from the very, very top most expensive range of Fender guitars right down to the bottom range of Fender guitars, which I think is pretty amazing. So all of these are available in Squire, Classic Vibe, or contemporary models. I'm going to go through the different models that there are now. Okay, so the first model that you get is the standard Tele, right? And what that is just, you know, it's the one that I showed you earlier on, which is just the lipstick pickup in the neck and the Telecaster pickup in the bridge, right? So I think pretty soon after that, with all the customization that was happening, Fender decided they were going to release a fat Tele. This is a guitar I've owned in the past. Specifically, I think it's called the 52 Hot Rod, where I don't know whether this was available in 52 now, but there's a Seymour Duncan mini humbucker in the neck position, and that was the first production model. It's only available in the kind of top of the range American series, but that was the first production model that I came across, where there was a humbucker in the neck position. It's a really wonderful guitar. And then obviously there's a HH Telecaster, which is a humbucker in the neck and humbucker in the bridge. One thing that's very different about this is generally these guitars tend to have a like Strat hardtail style bridge, and obviously the humbucker doesn't have the same brass mounting plate, so it's very, very different sounding guitar. But again, particularly for rock, it's great. They also did a range called the Blacktop range a few years ago, where there was a HH Tele variant. Then we get into the kind of 70s guitars, starting off with the 69 Thinline Telecaster, which is basically a standard Telecaster but with a semi-hollow chamber in the upper bass up here. And after that there was the 72 Thinline, which again, same guitar, semi-hollow chamber, but in the rest of the guitar was completely different. So it had the first guitar that they had, I think, to offer the Seth Lover wide range humbucker, which is a really amazing sounding pickup. So two of them, one the neck, one the bridge, and a Strat hardtail type bridge, and a completely different scratch plate, but still with one volume and one tone control. So after that, then you have the Tele Custom, which I think was 72 as well. And what it is, it's a solid body guitar, wide range humbucker in the neck, standard Telecaster pickup in the bridge, but with two volumes and tones. And what's really interesting about that is, I've never owned one of these, but I've played a number of them, and other guitar players I've been in bands with have had them. What's really interesting about it is this: you can wind the neck volume and tone up full, more so the tone. You can wind the tone knob on the neck up full and then wind the tone off on the bridge up a little bit, and you get a really cool sound where the neck pickup is sufficiently bright, because obviously it's a humbucker, and the back pickup, you can control that brightness by winding the tone off a little bit, and it's really, really cool guitar from that perspective. They follow that then with the 72 Tele Deluxe as well, which is basically well, it's quite different to a custom. So it's 2 wide range humbuckers this time. Also has a 70s large Strat headstock, which is I think the only production Telecaster to have a Strat headstock. That's not like a signature series. And again, it had a Strat either hardtail bridge, or this one was actually available with a Strat tremolo system. So really, really unusual guitar. Again, similar sounding to, it's basically a cross between a custom and a thin line, right? So it has this solid body sound, doesn't have that airy top end that the thin line has, and obviously the trem bridge gives an entirely different sound. Again, very, very, very cool guitar. And after that, then the 2 last ones that I've played and I've been really, really impressed with were I had a Cabronita Tele for a while, a Mexican Cabronita Tele, which is 2 Filtertron pickups on a Telecaster with a Strat hardtail style bridge. Really, really interesting guitar. It's kind of like a Gretsch cross with a Telecaster. Only had 1 volume knob, which is unfortunately eventually the reason I moved it on, because Filtertrons by their very nature are so bright that became a problem for me. That it was grand if I was only using it, but if I tried to use it and switch between it and another guitar, I always had to set my amp. My amp was way too dark when I used the guitar because those Filtertrons were so bright. But again, super cool guitar and a really good reimagination of the Telecaster. And the last one is they've recently brought out the Noventa range, and now they have a Telecaster in that range, which has, I think it's again a Strat hardtail bridge and simply 1 P90 in the bridge position. And I'm really want to get my hands on one of those, because I've never owned an Esquire, which by the way is the original Telecaster and has a no neck pickup, just a bridge pickup of a Telecaster, and I've never played one, and apparently they do sound quite different. And just to tell you as well, right, that some really cool players have played those variants. So obviously we talked about Graham Coxon played a Fat Tele, Keith Richards played a Fat Tele, Johnny Buckland from Coldplay plays a Thinline Telecaster. Is the only established famous guitar player I know that plays a Thinline Telecaster. Thom Yorke has been seen with both a Tele Deluxe and a Tele Custom. Keith Richards also has been known to rock a Tele Custom on occasion. So all of these guitars, I haven't seen anybody with a Cabronita or an event playing rock as of yet, but all of those guitars have featured with prominent players during the years. So yeah, that's the second reason I think that these guitars are so amazing, is because of the variants available at all price points. The one thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to grab my standard Tele and I'm going to play a few things. I'm going to play the exact same things on my 72 Thinline to show you the difference between the sound, how different those guitars sound. I'll play the exact same thing on one and then the exact same thing in another, and I'll put them up against each other for clean, dirty and heavy, and give you a listen. My third and final reason for my love of and dedication to the Telecaster is parts, or Partscasters. So what do I mean by that? Okay, I think because of the Telecaster's overwhelming success for the last 60 years or so, whatever it is, and also what I dealt with in my last reason, which was the variants. There's been so many different variants of the Tele, and there's been so many different customizations by players of the Tele over that period of time. As a result, every single part you can imagine for a Telecaster, ones that you couldn't even imagine, are readily available, and readily available, I will add, at every conceivable price point. So any body you can think of, like any material, any wood, any pickup rating you can think of, any bridge rating you can think of, any neck material you can think of, any fretboard material you can think of. Well, I suppose maple or rosewood, right? Or Pau Ferro. Any headstock shape that you want, any tuners that you want, whatever Telecaster you can dream up, there are parts to build that Telecaster readily available. And I will also add that from an aesthetic point of view, you can get any pick guard, you can get any semi-solid or solid body. And because it's a slab body, it's very easy to paint and finish. You can get it with binding or without binding. And I think for that reason, it's the third reason I love the Tele so much, is that you can build any Partscaster you want. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to play my Partscaster that I built a while back, to give you a listen to it and talk you through what I built and why I chose to do that. So this is my Partscaster, okay? What happened was I actually got this mahogany Telecaster body a while back, and just decided over a period of time to turn it into a guitar. So I found this Squier Classic Vibe rosewood neck, because I wanted a rosewood neck, and I like lacquered. I don't like matte fingerboards or like satin fingerboards, or sorry, not fingerboards, necks. So I found this neck, which was perfect because it has a like orangey maple gloss finish neck. It has a kind of vintage feeling radius rosewood fretboard, and it has the vintage tuners that I like, because I just like everything about these tuners. I like the way they load. I always found them to be accurate, and I just really like these tuners. So this neck had everything I wanted. So then it was just a case of what I wanted to do with the body. So I wanted a 3-saddle body as opposed to a 6-saddle one. I just prefer the way it feels under your hand, and also it's just got a more vintage cool vibe. And also I wanted to try top loading. So you can see here the strings don't go through the body. Both I wanted to try it, and also I had no way of drilling the holes through the body. And then there was a case of what electrics I wanted to try. So I really like Richie Kotzon's back pickup sound. So I wanted to try his back pickup. That was actually part of the reason doing this guitar. I really wanted to hear a chopper T in the back pickup position. And it just so happened that a local free ads website, I came up across one for I think about €60. And then I wanted to try a P90 in the neck because Eddie Vedder's Tele, and I'm a massive Pearl Jam fan, has a P90 in the neck. And also I just like the neck position P90 sound on Fender style guitars. And then the finish. So that's the natural colour of the guitar, but though it has been oil finished. And I wanted to have a natural colour body, but I wanted to have a stained top. And I really like cherry. So I decided to buy some cherry stain from Crimson Guitars. I stained just the top because the binding gave a lovely separation between the top and sides, which you can see there. I think it's really cool. And then it's just standard freeway selector switch, volume and tone. Obviously the black pickguard, and I'll give you a listen to it now. So here are some tones now from my Partscaster. I'm playing through the Koch Studio Tone 20 amplifier, as I always am. I'm on the dirty channel, and the bright switch is on, and the guitar sounds like this on the back pickup with the tone rolled up full. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through why I built this guitar and what I think it's great at, right? So first of all, just that. It's just a great rock Marshall sound. They roll the tone off a little bit. rock sound, right? You can roll it up full and get a really piercing, because the bright switch is on the amp lead sound. So as a rock guitar, it's really great sounding guitar. For me, it's the kind of thing I like to get out of a rock guitar. Then I can go to the neck pickup and it gets kind of bluesy. Volume full on. So I'm not the best blues player in the world, as is evident, but it does that thing really well. It's kind of snappy and bitey. The thing I love about P90 in the neck position when the bright switch is on the amp, it's like a big sounding single coil. It sounds, in my opinion, not more like a Strat, but definitely less acoustic-y and top end roll offy that the standard Telecaster neck pickup has. It's more aggressive. If I then take that and just leave the same sound on, put on my delay, and first of all just play lightly, right? It's clean, you know, and that's without rolling down the volume knob. I can then roll down the volume knob, play with my pick. Works really well. Then I can go straight from that, hit to the back pickup, turn off the delay, turn on the overdrive of my board. Admittedly, I did add a pedal, but I can do that even. That's just the amp tone, so I can go easily from, without changing the volume knob at all. Back pickup. That's the main thing I love about this guitar. It's really touch sensitive and works great in that respect. Then the other thing then is I actually, and I'm going to confess, accidentally wired the in-between position out of phase. So you get this really unique sound. Really useful for specific parts if you want them to cut through or have a different tonality to catch people's attention in particular parts. That's the things you can do to create your own sound in your own guitar, because the Telecaster has so many different parts available. So there you have it. Thinking of playing any sort of rock music at all? Don't have an electric guitar yet? Just go buy one of these. Any one of them. It won't sell you short or let you down. They are an amazing guitar. I hope you enjoyed the video. Hope you consider, if you don't have a Telecaster, that this video will hopefully bring you over to the light side, and go out and get yourself a Telecaster. Just the best guitar, the first guitar designed, and in my opinion the best guitar designed. So thanks for watching. My name's Rob. You've been watching Guitar Effect, and please like and subscribe, and I will see you soon. Cheers. Bye bye.